retro movie reviews, and this week we're going to review The Crow 1994, Brandon Lee, directed by Alex Proyas. Like, now I watched this in respect. I watched this because trailer of the new Crow came out last week. So I was like, out of respect, I'm going to watch the original. Because people are shitting all over the new one and whatnot. I had my thoughts as well. But I wanted to watch the original one just to get a reminder. Bro, that movie is awesome. Bro, if you watch it again, but it's so good as a comic book movie and as an origin story of a comic book. It's brilliant. Just the visuals, the city, the darkness, constant rain. But there was no origin, there was no backstory. Which this is a perfect, amazing example of a story where you didn't need a backstory. Something horrific happened to this individual and his wife in the beginning. So messed up that you didn't need a backstory of Brandon Lee's character, Eric Draven, of like, oh, I want to know what his background was and how he became. No, something so horrific happened that you're like, man, revenge needs to happen. And then the crow, gives his soul. The soul is obviously interrupted and it can't go into the other world, so it comes back to him. I did not need to know anything about Eric Draven. Yes, they give us little clips. He was a rock star and whatnot. He met this girl. He was in love with her and whatnot. Cool, little snippets, bro. You didn't have to waste 30 minutes, 45 minutes. This was a perfect example of like, you start the movie with something so horrific, you're just like, I want revenge. And you get that throughout the movie. And the visuals were amazing. The story was great. So I know you're going to jump in. The costume design, sorry, also his acting, I have to say. I think this was supposed to be his breakout movie. Unfortunately,
It was.
he passed away in this movie in a horrific incident on that scene. And I have to say, that scene at the end, I don't know if Christopher Nolan was influenced by this, but that was 100%, in my opinion, reminiscent of the Joker scene in The Dark Knight. The way all the gangsters are sitting on that table and Brandon Lee, the Eric Draven Crow, walks in and he just says, hello, gentlemen. And he sits on the table, legs crossed, and just looking at all of them. It just reminded me of the Joker coming in, just saying, hello, gentlemen. And it was just, I don't know if Christopher Nolan, it was a tribute. I have no idea if there's any connection or whatever. But my God, it was just so similar. And I'm not going to say Christopher Nolan stole it, because Joker and that scene was just amazing in itself. But that was so reminiscent of that. I think it set a sort of premise of that scene. It was amazing, bro. That movie, brilliant. And the way it ended, brilliant. No need for sequels. The soul is rested now. Move on. Now, yes, this movie could be a new soul. I don't know if they do it, if this is called a remake, but maybe it's a new soul, because the story is the crow. If there's a soul that's interrupted, then it needs to fix things. So if it's a remake of this new one, then maybe that's a mistake calling it a remake. Maybe it's just like a new soul has been interrupted and you need to show that story. Maybe that could be, so you can separate it. Anyway, what do you think? Do you remember much of the original one? And you were going to say something.
I love the original one, bro. It's like one of my favorite films. So this is a remake. They're calling him Eric Draven. The remake that's coming out with Bill Skarsgård, which, bro, the trailer looks still good, bro. And if you listen to people's comments and reading, if you're a fan of it, if you look at the original comic books, he does look like the Bill Skarsgård's character. Only Brandon Lee made that look become canon in the comic books as well. So it's amazing that a film can start off a comic book with changing the looks of how it looks. But he looks more like Bill Skarsgård's character. People always quick to jump on conclusions of, yes, it looks like, and it does, because it's what's been pushed into our face. Anyway, listen, bro.
Is that what you meant? What was you going to say? Yeah.
So it happens. We're always going to compare. It's the first thing I said when I saw it. I was like, Joker. But then I looked at some of the people's comments, and I looked back at some of the comic books and the artwork, because I've only seen the artwork that looks like Brandon Lee. So, rest in peace. Probably one of his best it is one of his best performances. Tragic what happened. Insanely tragic, bro. But the film is beautiful, bro. It has this somber tone to it, which is, you don't get that in movies now, because they look so clean, so fresh. Like, you can see every detail. I'm starting to get away from all of that now, because that's why I think I love those movies from the 80s and 90s, was the look of it. You can't replicate that. Like in a comic book, when you look at those, I was reading Invincible Iron Man the other day. That's something I read. And you look at the pages and you're like, you can see the orange in the page because it's from the 1970s. And then you look at another comic book where it's nice and clean and pristine, but then you look at another comic book and you see the yellow tones and the green tones, and you don't get that in movies no more. I think the last movie that represented that was The Matrix, where it had that green tone to it, where now everything's so clean and looks up front. But listen, the story of Eric Draven and what he went through, movies don't, like when I said I was going to jump in, was movies don't just give you some effed up beginning and get you into it now. They seem to need to explain everything to you. And I don't really enjoy that, bro. That's why the Alien Romulus trailer reminded me something of what Ridley Scott did originally with Aliens, was, oh my God, like, I'm scared. Like, that's made me jump. Like, I hope we don't need to get all of that Prometheus and flute playing business that Jakub loves.
Never gonna let that
Excuse
flute
me.
go, innit?
Never, bro. Angry Android, man. Created Xenon. I don't need to know that, bro. But this is what I'm saying. We didn't need to know about what the Crow. Like, if I read the comic books, I think I'd understand it more in the background of. But they gave us the main things that we needed in the film. That it was a tragic soul that can't cross over to the other world because he has unfinished business in this world. It's a great revenge story, bro, and done in such a really cool way. Because remember that scene when he shoots him through the hand, and how pranked that other guy got. Like, you've got these iconic scenes in this film, bro. He looks the part, bro. I've drawn him a couple of times. Great soundtrack, bro. Like, really put you in the mood, innit? Like, and that line, man, it can't rain all the time. Like, it's probably one of my favorite things. Like, I've been struggling with my mental health for a long time, and speaking with people. Shout outs to Alan, who got me that pin that says it can't rain all the time, and it's true. Like, we cloud that line. What I take from it is we drown ourselves in rain with all the pressures of life. There are going to be moments that he had with his wife when he met his wife, those memories that he went through that kept him going. And that's what we forget in our society, is that we have some great memories. We get stressed, we get, taken over by the rage of the society and the pace we move in life. But the moments when it doesn't rain are those moments that we should be cherishing more. And those happen every day, because when I'm not talking about physical rain, but I'm talking about metaphorically how our minds work, how we can't switch off. But he had those moments of good memories that was like, there's a reason why I'm doing this and the reason why I keep going. And then, as you said, towards the end, hopefully he had peace. And there was other Crow movies that came out after, but nothing will beat what that movie represented. So remember, guys, it can't rain all the time. But what a great film, bro. Cult classic. 100% cult classic. It's one of those ones, bro. He's just Brandon Lee was amazing in that film, man. When you see sheer potential of where he could have went and what he could have done. He did his martial art movies, tried to take his dad's thing. This was the first movie where it wasn't that.
And this is what I meant when I feel like it was a breakout performance for him, because like you could see the emotions that he went through. You could see how he can become the heartless revenge monster he had to in front of the bad guys, but in front of the little girl, in front of the memories that he was getting about his wife or his loved one. Like, you could see the emotions in his face. Brendan does an amazing job, bro. Amazing. And you're just kind of like, man, that's Bruce Lee's son. And that's the route that he was gonna take. Like, his acting career was just gonna shoot up. And it's so tragic that that scene happened, or what happened in that scene. And to be honest, at some point I was looking out for Mark Dacascos, and I couldn't really tell. They've done a great job in regards to production and whatnot. And I'm kind of glad they released it, because this is a great legacy for Brendan Lee. I would say great legacy movie for Brendan Lee. But yeah, I thought he had a great performance. And this movie's like with the one-liners and the early 90s sort of one-liners. You had,
Hold up, bro. Mark Dacascos.
didn't he
No, he did a Crow. It was a different movie. But I don't think he was at the end.
Oh, okay, my bad. I always had this impression after Brandon Lee died, they finished it off with Mark Dacascos. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Ernie Hudson was in it as a police officer.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, great. Bro, it's just brilliant. I immediately I was like, man, I'm in. I haven't seen it in such a long time, and immediately I was like, man, like I'm in, and I can't wait for the revenge to happen on these people. And the movie starts off so well, and it sets the tone of the movie immediately.
Sets the tone of the film. So good.
So good.
Absolutely great movie. Good one to rewatch again. I do watch that, once a year because it has, as I said, it has this somber tone to the film, and love, man, what it can do and what it can, in the right context, what it can do to take something away like that. Like, what would somebody do? And people keep telling me, bro, like, what would you do? Man, I'm gonna kill your ass, man. Sorry. If anybody tries to take that type of love away from anybody, because that's what the only reason why we're here, bro. Man, I've become the Punisher. That's guaranteed. It's gonna be hard. It's a hard one, bro. But I love that. It's a great revenge story, but a great story about love as well, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
ultimately, I think that's that's the premise, the point of the movie, like love. It's yeah, no, bro. I'm so happy I watched it. So happy I watched it. Rest in peace again, Brandon Lee. Guys, if you haven't watched the original, check it out. When I say original, you can go back and read the comics, of course, but watch the Brandon Lee version and don't be too harsh on the new one coming out. Give it a chance. Don't forget, it's going to be a revenge story. It's going to be great action. You can enjoy it for hours. You saw the trailer. It's going to be very bloody and gory. And if you like that kind of action, if you like the John Wick style, I'm not saying it's going to have that, but I'm sure there's going to be a big improvement and of choreographing of action.
It will be.
So guys, give it a chance. Yeah, give it a chance before you want to. And you know what? Go back and watch the Brandon Lee one. Go back and watch your comics. Read your comics, sorry, and then watch this one. If you don't like it, at least you got the other ones. But give it a chance because I'm interested. I can enjoy. Listen, I can enjoy and appreciate a good revenge story, and I can definitely appreciate the artistic style of choreographing and action and. I'm not saying blood and guts, but you know what I mean. When it's put in art is on the screen, like John Wick, for example, you can appreciate that and be like, oh, that's sick, that's amazing. So guys, give it a chance. Watch the original. Yeah, man. I mean, that's all I had on it, bro. Just amazing movie, amazing cult classic. Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, check the description for the full podcast episode. And while you're at it, show some love and click that subscribe and like button.